Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Windy City Breeze. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Day one of Bears Minicamp come and gone. And of course, with me being on vacation, I have not been able to, or I should say I wasn't able to see it firsthand. But speaking with Courtney Cronin, seeing some of the things that she has put out there as well, getting the picture painted, still wanted to give you guys the news and, of course, give my opinion on some of the things that did happen today. Let's start off to some of the injuries and things that we saw out there at, we didn't see, I should say, out there at camp. Apparently, Tyrique Stevenson and DeMarco Jackson got banged up and left practice early today, something definitely to keep an eye on because, especially with Tyrique Stevenson, big season coming up here. And we just heard Ben Johnson talk about availability and how important that's going to be. Listen, there's no bigger availability than this early on in the season, especially when you're competing for a job. And now, just like last season, somebody might be able to get in there and sneak a name in. I want to talk about some competition battles as well, because to me, Malik Muhammad, it's your time to see what you're going to be. The Bears have a lot of faith in you. Of course, there's other names still ahead of Malik, right? Terrell Smith is a name that comes to mind pretty early on there. There's, just a group of DBs that has done a really good job of being put together here and has done a really good job of, when being asked to do something, showing up on the field. I think that's probably the most competitive room of any of the rooms that are available. And so, Tyrique, I hope you get back pretty soon there. Hope you're able to get back on the field quickly there. DeMarco Jackson, not as concerned about. We've seen him be able to bounce back. And some good news on TJ Edwards. He was out there back in team drills for the first time this offseason. So with DeMarco Jackson getting banged up, you do still have that TJ Edwards name to rely on. And of course, everybody else who's in that linebacker room. Some names that we did not see at all out there: Kyler Gordon, Anthony Johnson Jr., Britton Brown, Noah Sewell, Ruben Hippolyte, Keyshawn Elliott, Jedrick Wills, Ozzy Trapilo, Neville Gallimore, Shemar Turner, and James Lynch. Now, the Shemar Turner one, definitely one to keep an eye on because you didn't know when he was going to get back out there per se. I would expect training camp probably to be around that time. Jedrick Wills, though, not out there. A little bit of something to keep an eye on because we know that left tackle competition is going to be a big one. Braxton Jones has gotten the hype, has gotten the praise this offseason for doing the work and coming back stronger. We'll see if that ends up holding out here. From what I've saw and what I heard from Courtney, right, like some of the things that we saw at practice today, and I think the headline of the day, it seems like Jaylon Johnson is back in full regalia here. What she said, Jaylon Johnson was all over the place and had 2 interceptions and a pass breakup, doing, the things that we've seen Jaylon Johnson do. Now, the interception is not something we've seen as consistent, but being a playmaker who's always around the ball and getting a guy like that back in full form. I said it when I got a chance to see him at not minicamp, at OTAs, right? There's a play where you see Luther Burden running across the field, whether it's 80%, 90%, he's flying, right? And Jaylon Johnson's right there, step for step with him. Caleb Williams makes a good throw and gets it through there, but he's step for step with him. I think that's a sign that you're seeing a Jaylon Johnson back in the form that we had hoped to see him in this coming up last season, but injuries take their toll on you. They just do. And so hopefully that continues throughout this practice process, and we see this Bears team have a guy, a major leader, and somebody who I think is stepping up much more in the leadership role in Jaylon Johnson, showing up early to training camp, showing up early to OTA, showing up to minicamp here, even though it is mandatory, right? We've seen him miss time around this time of year, except with this coaching staff. So very excited that he was able to do that. I thought some other things that were very, very good to see. What else did we have here? Oh, according to Courtney, Colston, Loveland, and Khalil Raymond shined during the team periods. Khalil Raymond's going to be an interesting one because you saw what he was able to do with Ben Johnson before, and you didn't know if that was going to still be the case moving forward. A guy that I think when you talk about wide receiver competition battles and things like that, a veteran that you can rely on, right? He's going to be out there during the kick return game. That's probably going to be the bread and butter of what Khalil Raymond brings to this team. But to me, when I'm going out and I'm looking at, okay, What have you done in the past with a guy like Ben Johnson? And I see you had not only your best yardage year of all time, also your best catch percentage, also your best yards per reception of your career. Okay, what are we getting back with a guy like this? And I think it's a veteran presence that can be on the field when you need him to, should guys get banged up and things like that. But also somebody who can help out your young rookie and Xavier Thomas start to get himself together as we're going through minicamp here and starting to teach him, okay, this is what you need to know. This is the way that you do this. This is how you handle this. The Bears have done a really good job of having an influx of young guys. Of course, you get that every year, but having an influx of talented young guys, but also having those veteran players that can go out there and show them the ropes. And I think Khalil Raymond is going to be a big one on that. Colston, Loveland, no surprise here. What have I been saying the entire offseason with Colston, Loveland? To me, you are about to see Caleb Williams and Colston, Loveland turn into that Magic Johnson, Kareem, turn into that Shaq and Kobe, turn in, I don't know, Kobe a little bit different, right? He's shooting guard, but like that elite point guard with that elite big that we have seen work time and time again in the NBA. I think that's the quarterback tight end combo that we have continued to see that well work. You talk about John Elway and Shannon Sharp. You talk about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You talk about Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady, right? Like, you continue to see names like that be talented, how important that tight end position is. I'm glad to see that Caleb is hitting on all the cylinders with the relationship with Colston Loveland early on here in camp, because I think that's going to be something that is going to be talked about as we get through preseason and things like that. But of course, during training camp here. She also came out to say, talking about Courtney here again, lots of talk about the D-line get off this offseason. Not an issue for Montez Sweat, who burst right off of the edge and chased Caleb Williams to the other field. Now, hit that like button for the defensive line getting this done and dropping the bear down here, because there's one player that I think has been talked about, dogged out, whatever it is. And listen, I'm not going to say not rightfully so, right? I'm a big pressure over sacks guy. That sounds crazy. Pause. Do what you got to do with it. I would rather see you around the quarterback, forcing the quarterback to make mistakes than just sacking the quarterback, but then you're not having the impactful sack, or you're not having the consistent pressure around him that then eventually leads to a sack. I think we see Montez Sweat in flashes. So credit to them on the defensive line, especially, and especially Montez Sweat, for starting off early, being around the quarterback, for starting off in a position where you're saying, look, like I got 10.5 sacks last year. Bears fans acted like that wasn't good enough. And listen, to Bears fans' credit, we've seen the best of the best, right? We've seen what dominant defensive lines look like. We've seen guys who have been double, triple teamed because of how much pressure they were able to create. So it's the one thing that I give Bears fans credit for, knowing what they're looking at. It's also the thing, though, that I think Montez Sweat, I wanted to see how you were going to bounce back from a lot of the talk that's been around you. John Yurkovich said it. Yurko on the Chicago Bears podcast said he's the worst 10-sack guy that's in the NFL. I'm not going to say that he for sure is the worst 10-sack guy that there's ever been in the league, or that's there or was there last season. But of the group of guys there, I think you talk about guys that created a ton more pressure. It's good to see Montez creating that pressure early, forcing Caleb Williams out of the pocket, maybe not even creating a sack, right? Maybe it doesn't end up being a sack. It is hilarious that he chased him to the other side of the field, but maybe not even being a sack, but forcing the quarterback off of his spot so that the rest of the defense can make a play. Let me know if, like, to me, that's what I want to see more from Montez than another 10-sack season. If he gives me a 9.5-sack season, but gives me consistent pressure on the quarterback and has always got his nose around the ball and is affecting how the quarterback is going to evaluate the field and get things done, I would rather have that player all day, all night. Something else that Courtney said here, talking about, Jaylon Johnson and Luther Burden, said Johnson and Burden one-on-ones are going to be must-watch in training camp. And I want to finish it out with this, because I think that this is something to me that really is the conversation of iron sharpens iron. Remember, we used to always hear that, iron sharpens iron. You got to tell you play the best, you're going to be the best. Iron sharpens iron. That's great. Except if one side's iron and one side's a pillow, you're sharpening nothing. And we've seen that so much in the past. And I mean this more in the sense of Luther Burden, because it feels like to me Jaylon Johnson is coming back in full effect here in the sense of Luther Burden. Luther Burden, you can kind of see it, right? You saw it in the press conference that he did. You see it when he's on the field. He knows the talent that he has. I think you have to have that level of confidence to be in this NFL, and it's not a bad thing. But I love the fact that there's a guy on the other side that maybe can go out there and be that humbling force initially that forces Luther to make his game better. Jaylon Johnson, when he was healthy, one of the best PBU guys, one of the best covered corners in football, did a great job shadowing guys, did a great job making things difficult and making the battle between him and the quarterback. And for Luther Burden, that means, hey, I have to make it so that my quarterback's job is made easier. I have to become one of those targets that is an elite target that you call the always open target, right? Like, I think that for Luther Burden, this is going to be massive matching up with Jaylon Johnson a ton this offseason, especially in those one-on-one situations, because really that's a matchup between the wide receiver and the DB. And whether the DB knows what's coming or not, I've seen it where, right, there's times where the DB knows what route is going to be run and things like that. But when it was Keenan Allen here in Chicago on the other side, it did not matter that you knew what the route was because I'm that impactful of a force. And I think that that's the kind of receiver that you want Luther Burden to become. Not so much a Jaylon Johnson. I'm sorry, not so much a Keenan Allen, right? That'd be great. But more of a guy who, yeah, I've got the footwork. I can juke you out of a phone book. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be open. And it's not just the belief. It's something that actually happens because of the work that I've put in. Sounds like it was a very exciting minicamp. Like I said, I wasn't in attendance for this one because of going on vacation with the family and things like that, having a little bit of a getaway, but still wanted to get the news out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, man, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Bed down, one love. Shout out to you guys for showing love. As always, man, peace.